Hey everyone, all right, in today's vlog, I want to kind of carry through on the emptiness that I was talking about in consciousness, and I want to give you a timeline on what it feels like when you go through this spiritual awakening. I don't know, I guess we can call it an awakening, I'm not sure. But so life happens in so new beginnings in life happen in cycles of 7. So every 7 years, you have a renewal. Now, 9 months ago, when I started losing my identity, that's how it started for me. I kind of freaked out because I have lost my identity now in life many times, like at least 4 times or 5 times, I think, that I can remember. And when you go through losing your identity, you ask yourself questions like, who am I? What is my purpose? What am I doing on this earth? Those are the type of questions you ask yourself. So when I started going through this 9 months ago, I was like, oh, fuck, I knew exactly what was happening. So, but what was different this time, because I knew I was in my 7th cycle. So I'm 42 years old, and all of a sudden I'm starting to lose my identity again. Like from I was happy being an entrepreneur, but before the 9 months, I started becoming, that last year, I started knowing that there's something about entrepreneurship that I hate. There's something about it that I don't like, and I've been pushing myself to do it. And I realized 9 months ago that it was the manipulation, the marketing, and there's a formula to how you sell on Facebook and Amazon. You have to pay for your keywords. Everything that you see on Amazon or that's put in front of you as sponsors ads on Facebook, it's all done by entrepreneurs, marketers, and it's to manipulate your mind. And with that, I did not resonate. It didn't resonate with me from the get-go, but I kept doing, like going for it, pushing it, because I was learning, and I felt like that was what you need to do in entrepreneurship. It is, but it didn't resonate with me. So 9 months ago, it was like, cut it, no more, that's it. And my business went through a whole transition from selling like on Amazon and everywhere that I sell to a complete wholesale business, so I don't have to do that shit that I was doing before on Amazon, buying keywords and all of that. Once that transition happened, I had more time. So again, I started going through this whole phase, and now I knew, like I said, I was in my 7th year, my new phase of the new cycle had started for my 7 years. So because I knew this, and the difference between my loss of identity this time than prior was, prior, I went through such grief, loss, sadness, and suffering that the suffering consumed me. This time, though, when I went through the loss of identity, I knew it was happening for something bigger. I knew that a bigger shift was coming into my life, and I also kind of knew that this shift in my identity, or who I am, or who I'm meant to be, was more aligned with my self-purpose. Now, the other thing that happened, so this went on for 3 months, okay? And then, like 6 months ago, I started feeling extreme fear, extreme anxiety, and extreme like, oh my God, who am I? What am I gonna, I'm going through this again. I'm sick and tired of this. This life sucks. I can't handle this shit. So I started going through a form of depression. And but again, the difference in this cycle for me this time around was that I knew I wasn't alone. I knew that I was being guided through this. That gives you power when you know you're not alone in all of this, and the planets are aligned and you are one with like the ether. I also at this point knew that how strong my higher self was. is, how that I am God. I knew all of that. So when the fear and anxiety hit, I had to talk myself out of this fear and anxiety. And I also knew that this was the last little bit. Like when your ego starts dying, when you start catching your ego every time it pops up, what the ego wants to do, it wants to like keep its claws in you, right? So as you begin to catch the ego every time, and even its sneaky little tricks, that ego, I've talked about how sneaky it is, and even when you pick up on when that ego is trying to imitate your soul, because the ego will do that. It'll try and imitate your soul, and it'll try and act like it's your intuition, but it's not your intuition. I did a vlog on that. I can link that for you down below on how to tell the difference. So when your ego, when you begin to even recognize, and it becomes oil and water, and you know exactly what your intuition is and exactly what your ego is, that ego, it's kind of like drowning in water. That's how they explain it. It's like suffering, it's drowning, and now it's going to do anything, right? Like anything. So this, just to keep, it doesn't want to die. No one wants to drown. So, especially your ego. So I also knew that this fear and anxiety that I was going through was the last of my shadow self. There's never a last of your shadow self, because we're human beings, but we're going through life, like we're gonna go through more experiences. But I also knew that it was the last little bit of my old story, because I no longer tell my old story. Like I am not even starting to, I don't even use the word widow as much. If I can avoid it, I do. I started losing the term entrepreneur, because I didn't want to identify myself with who I am, with what I did in this physical world. I started losing my story about like not talking to my family, or just I started saying to myself, that is not me anymore. That story is done. It's finished, untold, never gonna happen. It doesn't matter, right? So as those stories started going away, then the ego was really grasping, and that was my fear. So the fear was coming from that last little bit, and that is when I realized the bigger picture. The bigger picture was that deep inside, me, myself, and I had this, I held in my subconscious mind, with obviously not being conscious of it, that I felt as though I didn't deserve happiness. When I realized that deep core thing that my ego was holding on to, you don't deserve happiness, you don't deserve, and the ego didn't want to expose that last little part of it, that's when everything switched for me. So when I started saying my mantra about I deserve happiness, I began to see consciousness as like this nothingness, and nothingness in the best, loving, balanced. I think that's the key. That's when my veil, everything just became, it was gone. My veil, like this human veil, was gone. And I began to see consciousness, like you begin to see light spark. Like I'll do a different vlog. Anyways, so and that was with the mantra, I deserve happiness, I am oneness. And you can feel that oneness with absolutely everything. And that's when I realized, wow, I am nothing, because I'm God, I am consciousness. And when I started realizing I'm nothing, but that nothing is with balance, right? I'm not too much happiness. I'm not too much sadness. I am just, it is what it is. I'm here in the moment, and I am completely present. And what that's done for me now is like, I just came back from a walk. And when I went out for my walk, all I said was, okay, since I am nothing, and I know what my sole purpose here is to give. All of ours is, whether you realize it or not. You might think it's to attract money and bring shit in, it's not. It's to go this way first, then everything comes inwards. So I know that now. So as I'm going for my walk, I'm just, thinking, okay, I'm nothingness. This is all like, I see the illusions. I also see all of it. That's the balance. That's the presence. That's the awareness. And that's when all the synchronicities start to come. And the synchronicities, if you can use them and get to a state where you allow the synchronicities with your intuition, not your ego, your synchronicities to guide you, that is what the flow is. That is when you're in your vortex, as Abraham Hicks says it. That is everything. And the way you see them and the way you realize them is, what thoughts, not thoughts, what feelings you're feeling. And those feelings will bring on a form of a thought, and if that thought resonates with you and then you see synchronicities, that's alignment. That's why I'm doing this vlog, because I had this synchronicity while I was on my walk and I knew I had to do this vlog. And then people will start calling you. I had a phone call from my cousin, Sonia, thank you, who asked me, are you finished your ebook on how to meditate? Because it's a great time to put it out. I have tons of friends that would purchase it. Get on it, finish it, release it. I didn't ask for that. I am almost finished, but I wasn't going to release it right away. I did not ask for that. She was aligned. Because I'm aligned, she felt the need and thought and the energy and that there's a need for meditation, and she phoned me. That's nothingness.